AOC? Can't you make up your mind? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and you know the party and what state she's from, contradicted herself recently. Now that doesn't seem terribly difficult for any leftist to do, but AOC makes it a high art. Remember her complaining about a week ago that we're not having enough children to pay for government social programs like Social Security, Medicare, all of that stuff? Well, now she compares childbearing and child rearing to slavery. And she should make up her mind whether she prefers children or a childless society. And if she's going to take a direct part in making our laws, she should think before she speaks. Before we try to untangle her mind, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which depicts a developing child. Here's the umbilical cord, and this caption, "Not your body, not your choice." Something AOC and almost all her fellow Democrats want you to forget. One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come up with a new one. In fact, you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do. Now, last week, AOC specifically said, and I quote, "Take a look at it, and it's not just Japan and South Korea. There are quite a few countries that are really struggling because young people, under the burdens of capitalism and living under a society that is increasingly concentrating wealth among the rich, we're not having kids, or we're not having kids at the same rate as before. And we actually need immigrant populations to help balance things out. We can't continue to fund Social Security, Medicare, all of this stuff without immigrants. And it's always been that way. Don't act as if it's some new trend or anything like that," unquote, AOC. And I have a link in the description to a tweet carrying her on video. Now, never mind her comments about burdens of capitalism or wealth concentration. Remember, she said many countries were struggling by reason of low birth rates. So why? Only yesterday could Pro-Life Update quote her as saying, "Forcing poor and working class people to give birth against their will, against their ability to provide, is a profound economic issue." And then, when the powerful force people to give birth against their will, they trap millions into cycles of economic setback and desperation, especially in a country without guaranteed health care, and desperate workers are far easier to exploit. Close quote. And I have a link in the description to her saying all that. And what's more, this is on her official blue check Twitter account. So this is the real deal. Now, which is it, AOC? Do you prefer children or don't you? Let's examine again the points AOC made. Excuse me. Now, first, no one forces anyone to give birth against her will. She's been reading too much Margaret Atwood if she really thinks anything like that is happening. That bitter, unsatisfied feminist equates Christian governance with, you know what, I'm not going to describe it. Basically, it's a twisting of an ancient Hebrew custom when a lawful wife couldn't have children, but some female house servant could. If you want the details, look up the story of Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, or the story of Jacob, Rachel, Leah, and their so-called handmaids. It was arguably the wrong thing to do then, and it would definitely be the wrong thing to do today. Well, AOC suggests that our laws permit, even enforce, that kind of conscription today. Furthermore, a weird sort of unauthorized cosplay has become fashionable among young women on the political left, who drew their inspiration, if you can call it that, from Margaret Atwood's original novel and the streaming series she helped adapt from it. And before you go scratching your heads and asking, costs what? Cosplay is literally play acting as a fictional character who happens to wear a distinctive costume. Costumed play acting, cosplay. Get it? Now, on with the show. In the real world, apart from anyone's dark fantasy, women do not fall pregnant without first making a certain intimate choice. Rarely, some man makes a choice for her and uses physical force to decide the issue. Now that, of course, is a criminal act. And we can have a healthy debate on whether restitution to the victim of such an act should include support during pregnancy and early child care, and the state should pay if the criminal cannot, even after the state garnishes his wages and assets. But in the overwhelming bulk of cases, any woman can make a simple choice, but they have to make that choice ahead of time, if you catch my drift. Now, before we get into the next absurd thing AOC said, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You're not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities that company provides, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. Now, let's talk about her canard about against their ability to provide. If AOC wants to talk about why our society has become so costly to live in, let's talk. Why won't she? When has she ever proposed to examine why America is the most expensive society on earth? The typical wages that she slights so cavalierly could let someone live like a king or a queen in many other societies. And as she did before, she mentions government largesse as a necessary component of citizen support. But didn't she say a week ago that the low birth rate threatens the solvency of such largesse? Whom does she expect to pay for guaranteed health care, which means socialized medicine? Furthermore, how good would that guaranteed health care be? Joseph R. Mercola, D.O., announced his early opposition to the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. He objected to it because it provides the same old allopathic medicine that seems to keep people sick by design. So he says, and so I am inclined to believe. Finally, she says desperate workers are far easier to exploit. Well, they found that out, didn't they, in the old Soviet Union, and that's also true in mainland China. Furthermore, in the middle of her pretense of sympathy for desperate workers, she supports cancel culture. I have a link in the description to her tweet from 2 years ago supporting cancel culture and its baleful effect. And I'm going to call her out right now on her making light of it. She says all it really is people tuning you out. Sorry, AOC, but the jig is up. Cancel culture means more than that. It means you're fired, you may not bank here, you may not shop here, Take your pick. So now I hear you asking, did AOC think any of this through before she shot her mouth off? I see two possibilities. First, maybe she hasn't thought the matter through. To suggest that she is simply not very bright has become fashionable in conservative circles today. True enough, her policy proposals fail against rigorous, logical analysis. Her Green New Deal is the booby prize example. But if she sounds, an alarm about low birth rates one week, and then in the next week likens childbearing and child rearing to slavery, perhaps we see an illogical mind at work. Or do we? Could it be instead that she has signed on to the depopulation agenda of the liberal globalist world order? Might she really believe that the elite will have a cushy job for her in a depopulated world? Now, whether she has let Klaus Schwab and company play a confidence trick on her, contrary to her own belief, is irrelevant, except she has a reputation for making some very selfish choices and claiming entitlement to what she feels should be the perquisites of her office. So, what is likely to happen in the next several years? I'll repeat what will not happen. No one seriously proposes to have women become with child against their wills. We see laws forbidding them to terminate pregnancy, except when it's either that or die. But we will never see laws compelling them to initiate it. So if they prefer not to have children, fine. If certain people stick to that choice, then in a generation or two, those who value children will outnumber those who don't. And the reason is simple. Those who value children will have them, and those who don't won't. Those who value children most highly, furthermore, are conservatives, and especially those with healthy religious traditions. True enough, today the United States as a whole has a low birth rate, but certain populations within it have higher birth rates and higher than replacement level. 3 guesses as to which ones they are. And if they follow Christian or even Jewish precept, they won't turn the care of their elders or anything else to the government. Nor are they as likely to follow the latest consumer trends. That, more than anything else, will address directly why American life is so expensive. But don't expect AOC to predict that. She's afraid to, because the consummation of these changes will render her powerless and even unnecessary. So she, who claims the freedom to tune you out, will see what happens when the rest of us tune her out. Link in the description to the article, to AOC's 3 tweets, and to conservative news and views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlives.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to link a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link, a link to an earlier video about low birth rates, the one about AOC wanting to be president. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.